At 70, I've gained a wealth of experience, yet there's one choice I truly lament: transitioning to a nursing home. In that moment, it felt like the best decision. My family supported my decision, assuring me that I would receive all the care and comfort I desired. I trusted them. However, upon my arrival, I discovered that the reality was far removed from my expectations. Many of you may be contemplating this choice, either for yourselves or for someone dear to you. Perhaps you believe it's the most secure choice, or perhaps you've been advised that it will simplify things. Before you embark on that journey, I'd like to share 6 insights I wish I had received prior to making that move. In reality, residing in a nursing home transcends mere convenience. It transforms everything. Once you step inside, escaping isn't as straightforward as it may seem. Stick around until the conclusion, as a few of these insights may catch you off guard. If you know someone contemplating a nursing home, this video could provide the crucial insights they need before making such a significant decision. Let's dive in. One regret lingers: the loss of my independence. The most surprising aspect of relocating to a nursing home wasn't the cramped quarters, the rigid meal schedules, or even the strange faces surrounding me. I came to the stark understanding that I had relinquished control over my own existence. Prior to my relocation, I maintained my own set of habits. I took charge of my mornings, choosing when to rise, when to nourish myself, and how to fill my hours. I had the freedom to stroll at my leisure, prepare my own dishes, or simply relax in my cherished chair with a good book. Yet within the confines of the nursing home, I soon understood that my time had slipped away from me. Everything operated according to a timetable that didn't belong to me. Breakfast occurred at a designated hour, regardless of my hunger level. The lights dimmed at a designated hour, regardless of my readiness for slumber. Care to step outside for a stroll? It may be necessary to obtain authorization, and you will likely have to bide your time until assistance is accessible. Basic decisions such as what to eat or what to wear began to feel more like luxuries than fundamental choices. I recall my initial week in that place, rising from a bed that seemed foreign to me. I propped myself up, extended my limbs, and grabbed the novel I had been immersed in at home. As I surveyed the room, a realization washed over me. This place did not feel like home to me. My cherished books, my beloved chair, the small comforts I had devoted years to gathering were lost. There stood bare walls, accompanied by a solitary bed. I had no choice. A sensation I couldn't escape enveloped me, leaving me feeling powerless over my own existence. What's the most challenging aspect? Understanding that relinquishing your autonomy makes reclaiming it nearly unattainable. You adjust because it's necessary. The debate comes to an end once they reveal the dinner menu. You cease inquiring about the possibility of taking a walk at your leisure. You adapt to their framework, yet along the way you begin to lose your essence. As you contemplate the possibility of a nursing home, take a moment to reflect. Are you prepared to relinquish the little liberties that define your life? For when they depart, the void left behind will be felt deeper than you could have ever imagined. Regret as well, sensing neglect. One of the most challenging realities of transitioning to a nursing home is coming to terms with the fact that life beyond those walls continues to unfold without your presence. Upon my arrival, my family comforted me with promises of frequent visits. I trusted them, and at first, they delivered. My daughter would visit weekly, and my grandchildren would come over on weekends. For a brief moment, it seemed as though I still had ties to my former life. However, as time passed, the visits dwindled in frequency. My daughter began to call instead of visiting. My grandchildren have been occupied with their studies and jobs. The holidays proved to be the most challenging. It seems that despite everyone's assurances, plans often shift unexpectedly at the final hour. In that moment, I realized I was seated alone in the common room, observing as the other residents fixed their gazes on the door, each one silently wishing that today might be the day someone would come to remember them. My family didn't cease to love me. Life simply intervened. In your absence, it's simple for others to think you're doing well, that you're adapting, and that you require less care. However, the reality is that the more time you spend in a nursing home, the simpler it becomes for others to overlook the extent of your ongoing needs. One evening, I found myself in my room, phone in hand, pondering the decision to reach out to my son. I wished to avoid being a weight on others. I refrained from bringing up my presence, lingering in anticipation of a visit that could remain elusive. As I set the phone aside, a realization washed over me. This had become my existence, observing the passage of time, yearning for someone to recall my presence. Before making the decision to move into a nursing home, consider whether you are ready to face the solitude that may come with it. Regardless of the depth of your family's affection, once you're no longer in their view, it can be surprisingly simple to fade from their thoughts. If you're still engaged with this video and appreciating these insights, kindly drop a number 2 in the comments to show your presence. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly suggest you do so and activate the notification bell to ensure you never miss a video. Let us proceed onward. Regret 3. The loss of my sense of purpose. Upon my arrival at the nursing home, I believed I was merely altering my residence. I was unaware that I was also altering the very reasons for my existence. Within the confines of my home, I bore various responsibilities. My days were filled with rituals, passions, and a purpose that beckoned me to rise with the dawn. Even the little tasks, nurturing the plants, brewing my own coffee, organizing my surroundings brought me a feeling of fulfillment. However, within the confines of the nursing home, those cherished daily rituals faded away. Food was prepared for me. The cleaning was carried out by another individual. The plants, you see, were no longer my responsibility to tend to. Initially, I reassured myself that it would be pleasant to finally unwind. Free from tasks, liberated from obligations, simply time to unwind. However, after a few weeks, I came to the realization that something was lacking. The hours dragged on, elongated and filled with an overwhelming sense of anticipation. I noticed it among other residents as well. Individuals who were once vibrant and full of life now found themselves languidly passing their days in stillness, gazing into the void, merely biding their time. Once upon a time, there lived a man named George who at the age of 84 had dedicated his entire life to the craft of carpentry. At home, he constantly tinkered, crafting small projects in his garage. Yet in this place, there were no instruments, no endeavors, nothing for him to bring to life. I observed him as he gradually retracted his hands, once powerful and adept, now resting motionless in his lap. One day, he confided in me, expressing a sense of worthlessness. I understood precisely what he was conveying. When you find yourself without something to nurture, something to strive for, existence begins to fade in significance. The thoughts begin to decelerate and the body naturally aligns with this rhythm. Before long, you begin to sense that you are merely another inhabitant in a realm where time flows, yet nothing truly transforms. If you're contemplating a nursing home, reflect on what brings purpose to your life. For once you settle in, discovering meaning isn't merely about occupying your hours. It's a struggle to cling to the elements that ignite your spirit. Regret 4. Health deteriorating more rapidly than anticipated. Prior to my transition to a nursing home, I was managing quite well for someone of my age. I may not have been racing in marathons, but I was still capable of looking after myself, enjoying walks, and preparing my own meals. I maintained my small rituals that propelled me forward: grocery shopping, morning stretches, and even wandering around the house to strengthen my legs. However, after I settled in, everything transformed. Initially, it appeared as though I was merely relaxing. Food was delivered to me, freeing me from the need to spend time in the kitchen preparing meals. Whenever I found myself in need, a simple press of a button would summon assistance without delay. However, I failed to see that the more I neglected my own needs, the more fragile I became. I ceased my movements, and before long, a stiffness settled into my legs. I found myself sitting more often than before, and soon enough, rising from a chair began to feel like a daunting task. The strength I had dedicated years to preserving was fading away more rapidly than I could have imagined. It wasn't solely my experience. I witnessed it occur to others as well. Individuals who once moved on their own 2 feet found themselves unexpectedly dependent on wheelchairs. Individuals who had previously navigated life on their own now found themselves requiring assistance with tasks that once posed no challenge. The greater the assistance provided, the more apparent our need for it became. I recall my neighbor Alice, the vibrant 21-year-old woman who brought so much energy when she first moved in. She would stroll through the facility each day, firmly believing that age wouldn't dictate her pace. However, after several months, I observed that she had reduced her walking significantly. She began with a walker and then transitioned to a wheelchair. One day, she turned to me and said, "I can't pinpoint when it occurred, but it feels as though I've aged a decade in just a matter of months." It truly felt that way. Ceasing to engage your body leads to its gradual decline. In a nursing home where every detail is crafted for ease, one might overlook that movement transcends mere convenience. It is fundamentally tied to survival. Had I realized how swiftly my strength would fade, I would have battled more fiercely to maintain my momentum, to remain engaged, to challenge myself even in moments of reluctance. When contemplating a nursing home, reflect on whether you'll maintain the drive to stay physically active in an environment designed for ease and comfort. Once you take a moment to pause, rising back up can prove to be more challenging than anticipated. If you're still engaged with this video and appreciating these insights, kindly drop a comment with the number 4 below to let me know you're present. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly suggest you do so and activate the notification bell to ensure you catch all the latest videos. Your encouragement enables us to keep producing valuable content that informs and inspires you. Let us proceed onward. I regret the loss of privacy and dignity. One aspect I hadn't fully contemplated prior to relocating to a nursing home was the extent of privacy I would forfeit. In my personal sanctuary, I enjoyed a realm of my own. I could shut my bedroom door, embrace the stillness if I wished, and engage in activities at my own pace. In a nursing home, privacy often becomes a rare commodity that is not easily maintained. Upon my arrival, an unsettling sensation enveloped me as if unseen eyes were perpetually observing. Staff moved in and out with regularity, room inspections were on a strict timetable, and communal areas offered little solace from the presence of others. Even basic tasks such as putting on clothes or going to the restroom frequently needed help from another person. While I understand they were simply fulfilling their responsibilities, it can be quite challenging to embrace assistance for tasks you've managed on your own for so long. I recall my initial week grappling with the notion that I needed to seek approval for actions I previously undertook without a second thought. Care for a refreshing shower? Patience may be required as you await assistance from someone who is available. Do you require a moment to visit the restroom? At times, hitting the call button results in a wait that stretches beyond your patience. The options for meals were quite restricted. If the day's offerings don't appeal to you, that's just the way it is. Then came the matter of roommates. Not everyone has the luxury of a private room, and sharing a space with an unchosen roommate can certainly lead to moments of frustration. I was fortunate to have a considerate roommate, yet I heard tales from others who faced less favorable situations. Some shared their space with roommates who were noisy, untidy, or even faced challenges that made restful sleep feel out of reach. No matter how hard you strive to infuse your space with a sense of belonging, it remains just out of reach, never fully yours. The loss of dignity is a profound experience, one I didn't fully grasp until I found myself in that very moment of surrender. When individuals enter without waiting for a response, when you're addressed as if you're merely an object rather than a human being, when your everyday activities are governed by a timetable you didn't establish, it transforms you. You begin to sense a shift, feeling less like your true self and more like just another entry on a roster. As you contemplate the prospect of a nursing home, reflect on whether you are ready to relinquish the privacy and autonomy that have defined your life up to this point. Once it's lost, reclaiming it becomes a challenging endeavor. Regret 6. Coming to terms with the fact that parting ways is more challenging than anticipated. Upon my initial arrival at the nursing home, I reassured myself that this was just a brief chapter. I decided to take a chance, explore the possibilities, and if it didn't suit me, I could simply walk away. What I failed to understand was the difficulty of escaping once I had entered. Initially, it appeared straightforward. If it wasn't to my liking, I'd simply return home. Yet, home had lost its familiar essence. The house stood vacant, and keeping up with its care from afar proved to be a challenge. My children had begun to make adjustments, parting with items they believed I could do without, and even contemplating the idea of renting out the space. When I mentioned the possibility of going back, they seemed uncertain. Do you really think you can handle everything by yourself? Isn't it wiser to remain here? Our only desire is to see you thrive. Then came the matter of physical deterioration. After months of residing in a space where cooking, cleaning, and even walking far were not part of my routine, I found myself lacking the strength I once had. The freedom I once enjoyed began to fade, rendering the thought of returning home more challenging than I had ever anticipated. I lacked confidence in my capacity to live independently, and that apprehension held me back. I encountered others who shared the same experience. They decided to give the nursing home a shot for a short period, only to discover that departing was far more complicated than they had anticipated. The more time you spend here, the more challenging it is to adapt to life beyond these walls. Certain individuals have completely lost the option. Once their home was sold or their savings were depleted by the expenses of care, there was no turning back. That's the aspect that often goes unspoken. Relocating gives the impression of a choice that can be undone, yet for many it truly isn't. The nursing home gradually envelopes your existence, and before long, the vibrant life you once lived begins to fade into the realm of forgotten memories. If you're contemplating a nursing home, reflect on whether you're ready for the reality that once you enter, exiting may not be as straightforward as you imagine. Once you become accustomed to your surroundings, the obstacles to departure, be they financial, physical, or emotional, can prove to be more challenging to surmount than you might anticipate. If you're still engaged with this video and appreciating these insights, I'd love for you to drop a comment with the number 6 below to show your presence. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly suggest you do so and activate the notification bell to ensure you never miss any of the videos. Your encouragement enables us to keep producing valuable content that informs and inspires you. Greetings to Mother. Concluding reflections. Reflecting on my journey, I find no remorse in aging, yet I do wish I hadn't thought that a nursing home was my sole choice. I entered with the anticipation of finding solace, security, and an enhanced way of living. What I discovered instead was a realm that gradually stripped me of my autonomy, my confidentiality, my direction, and even my identity. Does that imply that all nursing homes are negative? Not exactly. Certain individuals truly require the degree of support they offer. Before you arrive at that conclusion, take a moment to reflect on what you might be sacrificing. Once you settle in, everything will change forever. If given the chance to revisit my choices, I would have advocated more fiercely for my right to remain in my own space, sought out additional avenues for assistance while preserving my autonomy, and ensured that my need for such a significant transition was absolutely warranted before committing to it. As you navigate this choice, I encourage you to reflect deeply on whether this is genuinely the right path for you. Or is it merely what appears to be the simplest choice at this moment? The life you lead today, with its routines, independence, and choices, is something to cherish and preserve for as long as possible. We appreciate your presence with us today. We eagerly await your thoughts. We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. What is one insight you gained today, and how do you intend to incorporate it into your life moving forward? Your insights matter greatly, so please feel free to express them. Your feedback inspires and uplifts us tremendously. If this video resonated with you and provided value, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others. Your encouragement enables us to keep producing valuable content that informs and inspires you. We appreciate your viewership and eagerly anticipate your presence in our next video.